It's Killer Shrew Fans 12 Days of Reviews. Hello everyone and welcome back to Killer Shrew Fans 12 Days of Reviews, and have we got a treat for you today. Today we will be taking a look at this, the Carnotaurus by Nanmu. Now if you don't know who Nanmu is, I don't blame you. They are a relatively new dinosaur model company that has been producing Jurassic World / Jurassic Park inspired dinosaurs for, I don't know, I think they came on the scene a little bit ago with their Berserker Indominus Rex, and I haven't collected any of them up until now, and I figured since it was Killer Shrew Fans 12 Days of Reviews, we would go ahead and take a look at one, and it is of course the Carnotaurus. You know me, of course I was going to go for the Carnotaurus first and foremost, and as you can see, it comes in this lovely white box with a sort of 3D image of the Carnotaurus in question. It looks like this was done in ZBrush or something, sort of 3D sculpted on a digital software. The other side of the box kind of features some sort of logo, and then there's the Nanmu logo itself. So this box is a bit on the plain Jane side. This is really the only area of visual interest. But if we go ahead and open it for you here, inside you can see you've got this nice foam casing for the dinosaur model itself. And if we just go ahead and slide that out for you, there we go. And it's got this sort of chunkier part, but then you've got a sleeve that kind of covers and protects the dinosaur in question. But before we get to that, you do have a couple of, one postcard that features a couple illustrations. One being this sort of comic book style drawing that we'll get to here if we can just get it open and slide it out. Come on now. There we go. The back features a more sort of artistic, scientific data type thing, but this one here is like a comic book style rendering of the dinosaur itself. Here, I'm assuming this is factoids and whatnot, but I cannot read it, unfortunately. So I guess it is two. I thought it was just one in the package, but it is two separate cards that come with different styles of illustration. This one's a little more scientific journal-esque, but it is cool that they include these. They make great sort of decor for your wall if you're like me. But now for the dinosaur itself. There it is, encased in a nice plastic wrapping, but before we get to the dinosaur, it does come with a JP or Jurassic World inspired character cast in plain plastic. There's no coloring to this, but this is Ellie Sattler that we've got here. I know she's a bit overexposed. My lighting does not play well with the unpainted material here, so I apologize for that. But it's a nice sculpt, and I can tell that it's Ellie Sattler even without paint and being in that small size. Of course, we're not here for that. We are here for the beautiful Carnotaurus, so let's have a look at how that holds up. If we can just get him out of his plastic bag there. Looking at him through the bag though, wow, this is quite impressive. So there is the Carnotaurus, and as you can see, he does come with a plastic base to keep his little feetses from warping during the shipping process. So if we get rid of that, does he stand? There we go. No, okay, I guess not on our review space. So that's a bit unfortunate, but we're going to do our best to give you guys a closer look at this model. Here we got him to stand. It does take a little bit of work on our uneven surface space, but he does stand. It might be better though if you use like a putty to keep him in place. I've had to do that. I tried it on a flush surface, but yeah, he does stand. I mean, unfortunately, it's hard to talk about first impressions because that standing issue is such a big letdown in the case of this very pricey imported dinosaur figure. But yeah, I mean, first impressions, he looks pretty good. They did a great job of capturing, there he goes, the look of the Carnotaurus from Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, and taking a closer look at the head here. The detailing is quite nice, with scales of varying shapes and sizes both carved in and sculpted on top of the skin. The fenestral areas are very apparent, as are many dinosaurs' fenestral areas with the Jurassic franchise. The eye is done in a sort of orangish coloration with some lovely wrinkles around the eyelid there. The teeth are like a different material, and they're easily the coolest part of this head. They've got like a weathering to them, and it does have an articulated jaw which closes up nice and tight. It doesn't open too far or anything, but it is kind of a nice addition, and the fact that they sort of built it in a way that disguises the hinge and everything is much appreciated. Taking a look at it from the front, as you can see, they did capture the narrow Carnotaurus skull shape, so that's at least nice, and I'm a big fan of the angularity of the horns coming off above the eyes there, and this thing does look pretty intimidating from a head-on perspective. Perhaps not as good as the Collecta one, given all of the shrink wrapping going on, but still, it's something to give them credit for, that they managed to capture the appropriate skull shape and width with this dinosaur model. The other side, same story in terms of all the sculptural details, scales of varying shapes and sizes, finestral areas very much shrink wrapped, eye done in a nice orange color with a black pupil and a nice gloss to give it a bit of sheen. And yeah, that's about all there is to the head of this Carnotaurus. It is lovely, and it does capture the look of the Fallen Kingdom one quite nicely. Moving down the length of the body, the sculptural details on the body are quite nice as well. I'm a big fan of all the wrinkles and folds of skin in the craning neck there. You've got the dual ridges of the sort of scoots running down from the back of the skull all the way down to the tip of the tail, not to mention the dorsal spines going on there. The ribs, you've got a good indication of the ribs once you hit the midsection. Again, lovely wrinkles and folds of skin down around the gut. The wrinkles on this thing are easily the best part. The way the skin folds and moves over the entire thing rather than be designated to certain areas. It gives it a very organic, almost like a wet blanket type look. It's very unique to this particular dinosaur model. You've also got a subtle scaling texture that continues all the way down to the length of the tail, and it's popping very well in this light. Going back up the opposite side, as you can see, sculptural details all the same, wrinkles, folds of skin bagging down around the underbelly there, and a lot of pulling skin at the thigh region there. The dermal spikes all continue up from the tail back up to the back of the head. The skin is stretched tight over this side, so you've got an even better indication of the rib cage on this Carnotaurus, and a lot of people may accuse that of being sort of a shrink wrapping thing, but remember, the Fallen Kingdom dinosaurs weren't that well taken care of, so I think it works quite nicely on this model. And looking at it from the underside, they captured that sort of lithe Carnotaurus feel quite well, and of course the wrinkles down here around the gut are quite nice, and on the underside of the thigh there you can see where they're pulling away from the leg, and that looks particularly nice in my opinion. The soles of the feet have been sculpted, and the detail continues all the way down to the tip of the tail on the underbelly as well. Taking a look at it from a dorsal view, as you can see, I love just the overall shape to this thing with the posing and everything, and again they captured the litheness of the Carnotaurus very, very well with this model. I think for what it is, being a Jurassic product ultimately, it does a good job of representing the Carnotaurus in a sort of balanced way between the two. Taking a look at the feet of this animal, the feet are probably my favorite part, the feet and the legs. I mean, I love the plate scaling going on and the brushing to bring out the details. And the nails, this is the only model I have where the claws are done in a different material, or at least painted to look like a completely different material. It's like a resin with a nice sheen. They've also dirtied them up to give them a nice lived-in feel, and the foot just looks so incredibly bird-like going up into that ankle where the skin is buckling and folding at the joint. The calf muscle looks incredibly powerful, and again, lovely bagging of the skin at the joint. The thigh looks flexed and poised and ready to propel this animal forward. There you can see the absolutely minuscule Carnotaurus arms. This is the only area where I feel like, yeah, this is not accurate to Carnotaurus. Granted, the shrink wrapping and everything, yeah, that's not accurate to dinosaurs, but that's something I can forgive because of the Jurassic Park nature. The arms do feature a joint, which we know Carnotaurus did not have. To this model's credit, though, the proportion of the arms to the entire animal does feel correct. Taking a look at the other foot, again, it just looks so appealing to the eye. The bird-like quality to it, the material, the way it's painted, all of it looks so darn gorgeous, and I'm a huge fan of all the sculptural detail going on in this particular Carnotaurus model, and the legs definitely show it off best, I think, with the wrinkles, the folds of skin, the musculature, the scales, the bird-like aesthetic. It's all here, all contained in these moments with the legs. having another look at those Carnotaurus arms, you can see, yes, there is an elbow joint. Not a huge fan of that, but the overall size, like I was saying, does feel appropriate for Carnotaurus. The angle, they could be held up a little bit further. I think it's because of the elbow joint that they're kind of held downwards. That's not helping its case. But yeah, overall, I do think those arms size up quite appropriately with the dinosaur itself. For the overall pose and visual appeal of this thing, it is quite nice. I mean, it's a little bit more extreme than, say, Schleich's or Safari's or Collecta's offerings, but it's nowhere near as out there as, say, Papo. I mean, it's in a striding position with the back left leg bracing against the ground as the right leg propels the creature forward. The arms are held slightly bent while the neck cranes off over its left shoulder, slightly to the left, perhaps eyeing a potential Sinoceratops or runaway Owen Grady to snack on. So yeah, a nice pose on this Carnotaurus. It's unfortunate that I had to put it on the base here to make it stand. Those feet are just so tiny compared to the rest of the dinosaur, and honestly, it's kind of a pick your poison thing. I like the pose, I like the visual aesthetic to this thing. It feels lifelike and lithe, but at the same time, I don't want that to come at a detriment to the balance. The feet, I didn't want them to be clown feet or anything. I don't want them to be so big that this thing looks disproportionate, but honestly, I do wish it would stand, especially since this thing is, what, $40-$50 when you all is said and done, so it's a bit unfortunate. As far as the paint scheme goes, again, very reminiscent of the Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom Carnotaurus, with the orange sort of midsection and then like the dark dorsal stripings and then the lighter underbelly. It is really, really a love letter to the Jurassic franchise, and if you were a fan of that Carnotaurus in the film, this might be worth picking up, especially if you don't collect like the Mattel dinosaur figures, but you want something of the Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom dinosaurs on your shelf. The Nanmu Carnotaurus is probably for you. I mean, the paint scheme is quite nice in terms of its overall likeness to the dinosaur. I'm not a huge fan of how it's applied, especially towards the tail there. You really get a sense of where the brush was sort of brushing over everything, and that's a bit unfortunate. So now, as far as the size on this Carnotaurus goes, you go from the tip of the snout to the tip of the tail, and you're looking at right around 11 inches long, just past 11 inches. I can't quite make out the centimeters for that, so I do apologize for that. But from the base that I stood him on, all the way to the highest point, you're looking at right around 4¼ inches off the ground, which is about 11 centimeters. So it's not that huge of a model, and that's something that kinda makes it less of an appealing price point, for want of a better way to put it. It feels very expensive for what you're getting. For size comparison, here it is next to the Collecta Carnotaurus, and as you can see, these two are just night and day in terms of their visual appeal. The paint scheme on the Nanmu offering is just so much more visually interesting. The sculptural details so much more intricate and well done than the Collecta Carnotaurus. Collecta has this thing on the ropes for accuracy, but that's a given. I mean, like I said, Nanmu is based off Jurassic World. They're not going for accuracy. Next up for size comparison, here it is next to the Mattel Action Attack Carnotaurus, our good buddy Carnage, and as you can see, Carnage stands a right sight bigger than this Nanmu Carnotaurus. So this Nanmu Carnotaurus isn't going to be in scale with your 3¾ inch humans, unfortunately. But this also highlights an interesting point with the difference between a $20 action figure and a $50 collector's model that is made specifically as a testimony to the films. Come on. It's kind of what you pay for is what you get type situation. And finally, for size comparison, we'll go ahead and bring in that Ellie Sattler figure to see how this Carnotaurus scales up. And I gotta say, this feels pretty appropriate to the Jurassic World canon. I'd have to see it next to their T-Rex and everything to give you a definite answer, but I wouldn't hold your breath on me importing another one of these Nanmu models anytime soon. So there you have it, guys. That is going to do it for our look at the Nanmu Carnotaurus. Overall, a very, very welcome addition to my collection. There are a couple things I'm not crazy about. The balancing issues, the way the paint is applied in some places. It's small things, but it's enough to make me kind of scratch my head as to why this is such a higher price point than some things from, say, like Papo. I think this could easily be a $30 model and not a $50 model, and that's why I'm going to go ahead and give it only 7 out of 10. It makes it hard to recommend with that exorbitant price point. But as always, I want to know what you guys think. Do you own this one? Are you planning to get it? What was your favorite offering from Nanmu? Leave all of your comments down below, and as always, if you enjoyed our video today, don't be afraid to let us know by hitting that like button, and don't forget to subscribe on the way out for more of Killer Shrew Fan's 12 Days of Reviews. As always, we will see you tomorrow for the next one. Bye-bye.